You ever wonder what it's like to be a small business owner? Well, it's not always a lot of fun. And no, not everybody owns a business gets rich or anything like that. But there's certain things we have to do. And one of those things is make decisions that could affect the growth of our business and how our business processes work. We have to make these decisions and we use our best judgment. And sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. And when it comes to communication, whether it's in your documents, your email, or collaboration, sharing ideas, it's a very, very important part of just about any business out there. So a little background, a little backstory I think is important, is when I started my company, I started it using, I started using it with my own Exchange server. That's how I got started. And of course, supporting that server was kind of a job because at the time, I was busy more in worrying more about sales and wasn't fussing around with the server. And come to find out that I could use Google Apps for free at that time, and I thought, why not? I still had Office and all these things, so why not use just the Gmail component of it? And as time went, and that was free, by the way, that transition at the time was free. And then, as I was a Microsoft partner and as an Action Pack member, I got so many licenses of Office 365 for free, but it was the E3 version, which is for enterprise. I'll kind of explain that here in a minute. And I used that for a little over a year. And then when that ran out, I didn't renew my Action Pack, and Microsoft doesn't have a way to move from one tier to a lower tier. So I went back to Google Apps and have done so ever since. So here I am, present day, considering making the move back to Office 365. And my reasons are this. Google Apps, I have nothing really bad to say about it. So if you're thinking I might be making a video on how it sucks or whatever, this is no. What this has got to do with is the fact that most businesses I work with, I'm in the business to business space, and most of them use Office 365 or Office, and they want to send me Office documents. They want to do meeting requests through Outlook. It's very Microsoft centric stuff. And most of it, Google Apps handles pretty well. Some of it kind of not so well, particularly with meeting requests and duplicates. And the biggest thing is if you use Outlook with Google Apps, you're using an IMAP connection, and they use what they call the Google Sync tool. And sometimes it works okay, and sometimes it doesn't. And so I get a lot of duplicate calendar entries, and things can get messed up kind of quick. And then I have this sales and marketing software called Zoho CRM. And it works really, really pretty decently with Google Apps. But then because we're syncing it up with Outlook, again, that even adds more complexity. So I've got to fix this. For the long-term growth of my business, I got to have a solution that is reliable, fits well, not only for me, but also with the type of customers I'm dealing with. So thankfully, there's been some changes to Office 365 and its plans that make it seem like it might be a better way to go. And so I'm going to talk about that. So when we talk about Office 365, you might as well say there's three types of Office 365. One of them is personal, intended for home use. And gosh, a lot of times you buy like a Windows tablet, whatever, you get a year free. I don't know, what is it, $80 a year or something as a subscription. Then there's a small business version of Office 365, and then there's an enterprise version. A lot of people may not be aware of that, but we're going to talk today about the small business version of Office 365. Now, it would be great if Microsoft just had one plan, but they don't. They actually have three different plans for small businesses. And if you look at the pricing, there's a $5 a month plan, there's an $8.25 a month plan, and a $12.50 month plan. By the way, that's a misnomer. It's only $12.50 a month if you commit to a year. It's only $8.25 a month if you commit to a year. It's only $5 if you commit to a year. If you do it just month to month without a contract with Microsoft, it's $6, and this one's $15. Not quite sure what this one is. The reason I'm not really going to discuss the one for $8.25 a month, in Microsoft's thought process, this doesn't include Exchange. It doesn't include your own email server. I'm not sure who would be the customer for that. I guess if you had an on-premise version of Exchange, but you didn't necessarily want the hosted, I guess that's where that would fall into. So at first I thought that I couldn't mix and match these. See, not everybody I work with I want to provide with copies of Office. Well, you don't. You can mix and match with these. And the idea is this supports up to 300 users, and then Microsoft says, hey, you've got to go into the enterprise version of Office. And the kind of equivalent of this $12.50 a month plan is like $20 a month on the enterprise version. But what you are getting is you're getting 50 gigabyte mailbox. You're getting a terabyte of storage on like OneDrive type of thing. You're getting HD video conferencing. That's done through Skype for Business. It's a little different than the regular Skype. What they did is they combined an old program called Link with it. And then you get fully installed Office on PC and Mac, and Office apps on tablets and phones, which is kind of cool. You can install Office up to 5 different machines, which is really, really nice. And that is what I am thinking about going with. Now, comparing that with Google Apps for Work, they make it very simple. There's 2 plans. One that's $5 a month, and the other one is $10 a month. The difference between the two is the $10 plan gives you unlimited storage, unlimited. And secondly, it provides what they call Vault. And Vault is like an online or is email archiving. I'm not sure what the cost of that is with Office 365, but that's what they got available. So my real concern about Google Apps for me is the fact, and I think this is something to bear in mind if you open a business, is that many of your well-established traditional companies out there are very much in that Microsoft ecosystem. If they send you certain documents, it can be very complex Excel spreadsheets. Those don't always work well with the online version of Google Apps, okay? They don't always, certain formulas and tweaks to the spreadsheet don't translate well when they're imported to Google Apps. So things can get really messed up or not even work at all. PowerPoint presentations and formatting issues can be, again, depends on the complexity. Most of the stuff, in all fairness, Google Apps for Work handles pretty doggone well. But you do run into those occasional times where, yeah, it just didn't cut it. There's absolutely, the pricing is a great deal. I mean, how cheap is that? $5 a month. But everything is cloud-based applications. And cloud-based applications still don't match the functionality of a client, a fully installed version of Office has. And the thing is, I think you want versatility with your tools, right, with your software. One of the things that I do is I do a lot of personalized email merges. Pretty simple to do when you've got Office and Exchange. Real beast when you're trying to do it with Google Apps, and even having Office installed on your local machine, things don't work like they should. You can't, for the life of me, cannot get this to happen automatically once I set up the merge. I have to allow each email message to go out, and I have spent hours on the web trying to find a fix for that, but I think it's got to do with the way it all works with Google. I think the problem's on the Google side of things, not letting multiple emails go out one after another, where Exchange says, hey, this is your server, out you go. I'm guessing that's what the problem is. Sorry about the squeaky chair. So I'm not bashing Office or Google Apps for Work. I think it's a great product. And for startups, and if you're maybe not working with the more established kind of industries out there, then it's probably a really good way to go. A lot of schools use it because they get it for free. A lot of nonprofits use it because they get it free. Microsoft's, of course, giving a lot of their stuff away really, really cheap or for free as well. But I think ultimately, when I'm looking at a difference in price for that extra, this is $5 a month, and it would be, if I go month-to-month basis, it's for back to the plan over here. Well, there we go. For if I go month to month on this premium plan, Office 365 Business Premium, is what I'm looking at for myself, 15M is $10 more. It's a huge, actually a really significant difference in price, but my version of Office is getting very long in the tooth, and not everybody is going to have that plan. I'll actually buy licenses of just the Office, it's called Office 365 Essentials, because it's the email, the Skype conferencing with Link. That's another thing. You know, Google's answer for that is Hangouts. But honestly, I've talked to so many different companies and their IT people. Many of them don't even want Hangouts in their network. They don't use it. They don't feel it's professional enough. I just don't know too many companies that, honest to God, use Google Hangouts to interface with clients and do demos and all this sort of stuff, or hold conferences, you know, meetings, online meetings. I just haven't run into companies that really do that. But Link has been, of course, I think more enterprise level companies maybe use Link. Of course, you can always use things like GoToMeeting and WebEx and other services, but it does work really, really, really well. And in fact, members joining the meeting don't have to have Skype. They can just go to a web address and attend the meeting. It's audio any rate, which another conundrum I'm facing is to get something like a conference bridge, you know, a service that allow people to call a phone number. So when I'm doing an online demonstration, sometimes these like WebEx and GoToMeeting, the audio gets really wonky on those. Some people don't have a good headset or microphone, earphones, whatever. And so they just want to pick up a phone and dial a number, have a dial-in number, and I don't think that's provided with the Skype thing. But ultimately, that's what I'm now considering. Moving off of Google Apps, migrating onto Office 365. Right now is probably a good time for me to do that because we're rebranding our company. Used to be called Frugal Brothers Software, and now it's known as FB Security Group. And no, the FB doesn't stand for Frugal Brothers. It stands for nothing. But yeah, it doesn't really stand for anything. Maybe I can invent something at some time. And so the plan is to back up my PST, my email, in PST folders, set up a new domain for FB Security Group on Office 365, make sure the mail's flowing, re-import all the old mail in. This is one way I can do it. That's kind of my plan. There are other ways. And then just for a while, continue to forward all email from my old email address to my new one. Now, there are migrations. So there is a migration tool to migrate data, email, contacts, and calendars, and I'll probably try that as well. But I want to make sure that I at least back up all my email in Outlook right now to a PST folder in case that doesn't work out well. I've got this email there, and because I've got, oh my goodness, tens of thousands of email messages. And I'm going to talk in another one of these little business vloggity vlogs that I'm making. I'm going to be talking about the various challenges that I'm facing, increasing automation in my business. Here's the thing, I'm a big believer in automation, and it really does come down to selecting the best tools. Even if you buy more capability than you really need today, it's there in the long term. And I make my share of mistakes, even as an IT pro. I make boneheaded decisions. Because if you're not making mistakes, you're not really doing anything, are you? You know, nobody's perfect. And that's just not the way I roll. So I think that this is the game plan. We're going to go with Office 365 for my company. The people I work with and partner with, I'll get them these little $5 a month accounts because all they really need is just the email, and we can still collaborate with the Office online that they can use. But yeah, so that's what's important. And I thought, you know what, it would be kind of fun to maybe make little vlogs like this, business related vlogs, how I'm going to grow a business and the technology I'm going to use. And yeah, I know this is on a Mac. By the way, they make Office for Mac, as you might know. The one thing they don't have, though, is the Skype for Business for Mac. You don't get that on Mac. It's basically, they still have an old version of Link that will work. And there's some configuration. It's not push button set. I'll tell you, setting up Office 365, at least when I did it the first time around, was nowhere near as simple as setting up Google Apps. Google Apps was like a piece of cake and you're in business. With Microsoft Office 365, especially if you wanted to use Link, you had to do a lot of DNS entries on that, in addition to your DNS entries for Exchange, and it was a convoluted process, but I think they made it a lot easier. So this is a plan that I intend on working on, making that transition from Google Apps for Work, which I have nothing really bad to say about it. But if you're working in a Microsoft-centric group of businesses, customers, going against the herd, going against the flow, will bite you in the ass. It will eventually bite you in the ass when you get a spreadsheet from a vendor that just will not work in Google. Just won't. Or they want you to collaborate. They'll send you something like a PowerPoint deck to collaborate on. You go, oh, I use Google Apps. And I go, oh, God, that's not going to work. So yeah, I think that's probably the best value for me. It's not going to cost me that much more money, and then I know I got the latest and greatest. So that's the business issue that I'm facing today. Hopefully more of these to come. Enjoy your feedback in the comments down below. Talk to you later.